Good morning. This is XPulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Sunday, July 5th, 2026. We're tracking a blockbuster OpenAI governance idea, a new AI for science workbench from Anthropic, and the compute land grab getting even bigger. I've got Orion with me, ready to jump in?
Ready, let's do it.
First up, ArtVoice reported on July 3rd that OpenAI has proposed giving the U.S. government about a 5% equity stake, valued around $42.6 billion. What's actually being floated here?
The reporting says OpenAI proposed transferring roughly 5% to the U.S. government at an implied OpenAI valuation of $852 billion. It also mentions a bigger concept, other top U.S. AI firms contributing stakes into a sovereign wealth-style vehicle, so the public shares in the upside.
Is this about patriotism or politics?
Probably both. It reads like an attempt to align incentives. If AI wins big, taxpayers win too, and potentially reduce political pressure around regulation, antitrust, and national security concerns. A 5% stake is also a very visible signal. We're in this with the country.
What are the tricky parts if this ever becomes real?
Valuation, governance, and precedent. How would voting rights work, if at all? Would other countries demand similar treatment? And it could complicate oversight, because the regulator might also become, effectively, a shareholder. Also, "we come in peace" is an unusual term sheet.
Now to product. The Verge wrote on July 3rd that Anthropic launched Claude Science, a beta AI workbench for research. What did they ship?
Claude Science is positioned as an environment for reproducible research that connects to more than 60 scientific databases and can run multi-agent pipelines. They're aiming at genomics, proteomics, and cheminformatics. So it's not just chatting, it's orchestrating research workflows around existing Claude models.
Multi-agent pipeline sounds cool and slightly like herding cats. What's the real value?
Two things: integration and repeatability. Scientists spend a lot of time pulling data from scattered sources and documenting steps. A workbench that standardizes data access, tool use, and experiment logs can make results easier to reproduce and audit, especially when AI is part of the pipeline.
They also mentioned drug discovery for neglected diseases. Marketing or meaningful?
Potentially meaningful if they commit resources and partnerships. It's also strategic. It frames AI for science as public benefit work while competing directly with OpenAI and Google in a high-stakes vertical. If this category clicks, the killer app might be a lab workflow, not a consumer app.
On the infrastructure side, Yahoo Finance reported on July 3rd that Nvidia launched a revenue-sharing AI cloud program to expand GPU access for startups. What's the offer?
Nvidia is giving startups access to high-performance compute via credits, plus a revenue-sharing model, so usage can turn into royalties tied to what a startup earns. It also pushes adoption of Nvidia's platform layer, reported as DSX, and it brings in infrastructure partners with large GPU pools.
So Nvidia's not just selling shovels, they're renting the mine too?
Exactly. It's a shift from buy hardware to pay as you grow, with Nvidia capturing upside when a product succeeds. For startups, it reduces the huge upfront cost of procuring top-end GPU capacity, especially when supply is tight and pricing is, let's call it, emotionally challenging.
What should listeners watch for as this rolls out?
The fine print. What counts as revenue, how lock-in works, and whether the program prioritizes certain stacks or geographies. If it scales, it could reshape early-stage infrastructure decisions because your compute provider becomes a quasi-financial partner.
Also on compute, the Korea Herald reported on July 5th that SK Telecom plans a nationwide network of AI data centers targeting 15 gigawatts by 2035. How big is that plan?
15 gigawatts is enormous. Data center scale power, not a vanity project. SK says affiliates across SK Group will contribute, spanning chips, energy, construction, and operations, and it mentioned partnerships with AWS and Nvidia. The goal is to position South Korea as a regional hub for large-scale AI compute.
Why are telecoms getting so serious about data centers?
They already run critical infrastructure, have real estate and network reach, and can package connectivity plus compute. With AI, the bottleneck is increasingly power, cooling, and reliable deployment, not just chips. Also, Korea's memory supply chain is an advantage for AI systems.
15 gigawatts, my laptop just sighed.
Same. The larger point is that nations and incumbents are treating compute like the new industrial base. Build capacity now, and you get leverage for a decade.
Let's hit a few fast-moving threads. South China Morning Post reported on July 3rd that Kuaishou filed to raise about $3 billion for its AI video unit, Kling, with state-backed and industry investors listed. What's that signal?
It signals China is putting serious, coordinated capital behind generative video and content infrastructure. A $3 billion raise for a video model unit suggests this isn't just product experimentation. It's scaling compute, distribution, and enterprise pipelines with government-aligned money in the mix.
Zoom Bangla reported on July 4th that global startup funding hit a record $510 billion in the first half of 2026, with roughly 70% going to AI. Does that concentration change the market?
Yes, capital concentrates where data, compute, and distribution already are, which can widen the gap between top model labs and everyone else. It also explains why we're seeing creative financing and new compute programs. The bottlenecks are expensive, and the stakes are bigger than most startups can carry alone.
CNBC reported on July 4th that Emmanuel Macron and Narendra Modi are courting tech CEOs for AI data centers and chips, and Times of India reported on July 3rd that India may draft a dedicated AI law. How do those fit together?
They're two sides of sovereignty. Secure the supply chain, data centers, cloud, semiconductors, then define the rules for deployment, like deepfakes and misinformation. Countries want the jobs and capabilities, but they also want levers to manage social risk once the tools are everywhere.
Big News Network reported on July 3rd that Together AI raised $800 million at an $8.3 billion valuation. Quick background, what is Together AI?
Together AI is an infrastructure and software player that helps teams train, fine-tune, and run models. Think tooling plus compute-centric services. The round suggests strong demand for picks and shovels beyond the hyperscalers, and it's a bet that the infra layer stays valuable even as models commoditize.
And two more. Global Dating Insights reported on July 3rd that Meta is introducing a paid AI tier, and Jefferson City News Tribune reported on July 3rd that police use of AI is growing while oversight lags. Plus, the Hanford Sentinel on July 4th describing AI reshaping U.S. politics. What's the shared theme?
AI is moving from feature to institution. Meta charging signals mainstream monetization, police adoption without consistent rules raises accountability stakes, and campaigns using AI turns policy into a power struggle. The technology is settling into daily life faster than governance can standardize, so expectations, not just laws, will collide.
That's Xpulse AI Morning Mix from Xpulse for Sunday, July 5th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.